Welcome to another installment of This Is Not Normal on the Political Drain podcast with Drill Sergeant Doug, aka Admin Doug, a U.S. Army veteran, teacher, musician, and family man from Jamaica, now fights for justice and democracy through commentary and humor. Follow him on YouTube at Political Drain and at Sons of Liberty Official as Drill Sergeant, aka Admin Doug, continues to protect our freedoms.
There is something deeply, deeply dark being pushed at the highest level of the Trump administration, and you need to pay attention because they coined a new effed up term and admitted their effed up end goal for an authoritarian United States.
What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here. And Adolf would be proud of the fervor with which this administration is boneheadedly and eyes closed going forward with their plans on, let's be honest, a holocaust on brown people in America, a revision of the vision as stated under the Statue of Liberty. And the reason why Adolf would be proud of the fervor is because what took him years, he spent 6 years developing and training and gathering resources to be able to do what he did. And this bonehead, idiotic administration that gets a hard on at the sight of a brown person getting beat up thought that they could just push it through. And push it through, they're going to try. They're going to do. What happened was the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, dropped this word right on that cesspool of white supremacy known as Twitter. I don't call it the other name. It still has Twitter in the URL. So the point is, Adam Mockler has some great reporting on this. Remigration, the word itself and the way that it's used, it's time for remigration now, is very important in its context, historical, and the nuance that I think is missing even from Adam Mockler's reporting. So we're going to watch his reporting, but then we're going to stop it and add the nuance that I think is important for the resistance, because that's what the channel has been about since January, not just reporting the news. This is going to be about how the resistance needs to understand what they're seeing. And I have that for you. And I also have historical context for you. This is not one that maybe I could give you a step by step, but you'll understand. And on the other hand, some of the nuance may give you a timeline and how to look at this, how to fight it, and then why you need to be emailing me at the end. Let's start with Adam Mockler's reporting. Good stuff.
There is something deeply, deeply dark being pushed at the highest level of the Trump administration, and you need to pay attention because they coined a new effed up term and admitted their effed up end goal for an authoritarian United States. So less than 24 hours after 2 National Guard members were tragically shot in the head in Washington, D.C., one passed away, one is still fighting for his life in critical condition. Less than 24 hours after, this administration tries to leverage this as an opportunity to use more authoritarian rhetoric, spin this into a broader national emergency that they can use as a pretext to mobilize more National Guard members. Keep in mind, those National Guard members shouldn't have been there in the first place. These were 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds who were told that if they sign up, they get a little bit extra cash and they get to help their hometown if there is a natural disaster or some sort of emergency throughout the state. Never in this was that you have to sign up and then be transferred over to D.C. to basically act as a police officer. This is a 20-year-old who did not have the training of a police officer, but I digress. Donald Trump is using this as an opportunity to mobilize more 20-year-olds into areas that they didn't grow up in to act as faux police officers. Well, this administration's authoritarian rhetoric got to such a point where they are now admitting that their end goal is something called remigration. This is very serious, very dangerous, and stems from a far right group in Europe that we will talk about in just one moment. The official Homeland Security account on Twitter. Not some random troll, not some random far right person. It's not Elon Musk. This is the official Department of Homeland Security government account. They tweeted out these words. This is very important. Quote, "The stakes have never been higher, and the goal has never been more clear. Remigration now." Now you may be asking, what is this term, remigration? It sounds rather innocuous on its face, but it is incredibly effed up, authoritarian, anti-American. It strips constitutional rights away, it strips human dignity away, and it's disgusting. This says remigration is a European far-right concept of ethnic cleansing via the mass deportation of non-white minority populations, especially immigrants, and sometimes including those born in Europe and holding European citizenship to their place of racial ancestry. So deporting people to their place of racial ancestry if they're not white. Originating in Europe, the concept has spread to the United States and other countries, and it is popular, especially within the identitarian movement. Some proponents of remigration suggest excluding some persons with non-European background.
That definition is spot on. That's exactly what's happening in Europe right now. I have another story coming on about the BBC and our nation. Listen, it's crazy over there. It's not just us. But this migration thing is exactly that. But what's missing is the historical context, YouTube. It's missing because it's not clearly stated. You may infer what they mean by this or where it comes from in Europe. But the fact that it's not clearly stated is a problem for me. And I need you, the resistance, to hear it clearly, to understand what it means. In summarizing the one of the major speeches and a few of the minor speeches given by Adolf himself, and figuring out where this idea of remigration stems from before today, where it seems to have a reemergence in the UK and the EU. Let's not just blame them. But anyway, here's a good summary. And what I'll do is give links to the actual poetry as only Adolf could say it and write it himself with the translation into English. But here's what the summary says. Adolf Hitler's speeches frequently addressed the concept of remigration, particularly focusing on the forced removal of ethnic minorities, especially Jews, from Germany and German-controlled territories. In the speech on January 30th, which is the major one, 1939, Hitler declared that the German nation would not allow a strange people to control leading positions in the country and emphasized the need to remove Jews, whom he claimed were culturally and racially alien from German society. This should be worrying. This should ring a bell as well. Alien to German society. That's why we're going to get to that in the next clip. He stated that the expulsion of Jews was necessary for the preservation of German culture, and that the world should be thankful for this release of a precious apostles of culture, which he was being facetious at the time, racistly so, who could then be placed at the disposal of other nations. He also asserted that the sooner the Jewish question was resolved, the better Europe could settle down. Now, what's up, YouTube? Real quick, I'm going to get right back to the video. I just got to say, I need an editor. We need a volunteer editor, someone who's good, someone who cares about people and cares about the movement. I'm taking more time doing special operations and more time trying to help Sons of Liberty, as well as everything that we do in real life. And I need an editor just to help me, even if it's just a little bit of time. Just a little bit of time to help us make the difference. I need an editor. Volunteer at politicaldrain@proton.me. politicaldrain.proton.me. All right. Another thing that Adolf would be proud of was how quickly this administration uses single incidents to blanket stereotype the people that they're othering in order to keep the little base of idiots and traumatized persons who have become red hat wearers into accepting anything that he says. That historical context is important. I need you to understand this comes straight from the H-man himself. That's why that word is important. The other reason why this historical context is important is because we're going to read what Trump has been saying and how closely it's related to everything I just read to you, so you understand the importance of it, where we are in the timeline. Let's talk to Adam Mockler. We'll add some more nuance to the next piece of the puzzle.
Donald Trump makes a post essentially endorsing this crazy ideology. He wrote his long Truth Social on Thanksgiving that honestly read more like Stephen Miller wrote it. He writes about a bunch of stuff, calls Tim Walz retarded, but then at one point he says, I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries. This is a big part that we're going to talk about. He says, I'm going to terminate all of the millions of Biden illegal admissions, including those signed by Sleepy Joe Biden's autopen, and remove anyone who is not a net asset to the United States or is incapable of loving our country, end all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens of our country, denaturalize migrants who undermine domestic tranquility, and deport any foreign national who is public charge, security risk, or non-compatible with Western civilization. These goals will be pursued with the aim of achieving a major reduction in illegal and disruptive populations, including those admitted through an unauthorized and illegal autopen approval process. Only reverse migration can fully cure this situation. Sarah Longwell from The Bulwark says, sit with this for a second. Trump is talking about taking away citizenship for naturalized citizens who, by some totally arbitrary definition, quote unquote, undermine domestic tranquility. So a naturalized parent or spouse of a U.S.-born citizen who is critical of Trump could be threatened if he deems that they undermine domestic tranquility.
Let's go back to the beginning of that. There's one piece that he said that we need to provide more nuance to, and that is when he said all third world countries. I'm stopping all third world country. What does that mean? What does that mean? Where do we even get that term from? Another story for another day. But how the hell does one Afghani person that his administration vetted and qualified for asylum here equate to all third world countries now? Because they're all S-hole countries. Remember that? It's not even a dog whistle. He straight up said, we're looking for the reason to stop anybody brown or black or poor from coming in here. That's it. This has nothing to do with the shooting, or else it wouldn't even have anything to do with it if you said just Afghani people. Because even then, it makes no sense. Do you know how many people in Afghanistan were helping us? We're on our side. No, it's a racist statement. And what happens is all of the yokels, all of the knuckle-dragging, mountain-dwelling, toothless people, and I mean that in a way that I don't care where you actually are, your mentality is that of the knuckle-dragging monkey monsters in the hills that hate people of color and wish that they could just go back to being great again. If that's you, then the shoe fits. I don't care if you're in Beverly Hills or in Appalachia. There's good people in both areas, but there's also you there too. All of those people hear that and say, yeah, I didn't want third world people here. Well, if you're from Jamaica, the next part of that, what you need to understand is reverse migration is what he said, not illegal immigration. Not deportation, reverse migration. So if you immigrated here, papers or not, you need to leave. If you come from a third world country, i.e. brown country, get out. We're going to find a way to get you out of here. So no, you don't have to have had a criminal record. No, you don't have to have done anything wrong in the moment. No. Either either right now or later. The point is to get us all out. That's it. Reverse migration. So here's the next part about that. How far does the lineage go? Well, you were born here, but your mother immigrated. So that's 2 generations. But wait a minute. If your mother is born here and you're born here, but grandma lives at home, is that count now? How about just if you came over on a slave ship? You also said denaturalize. But if you don't think that you're an immigrant, but you're brown, if you don't think it can be traced back long enough to ensure that you get reversed immigrated or your family tree, think again. This coalition needs to be bigger, broader than you think it is. If you think that it's not you, I guarantee you it's only a matter of time or another false shooting until it is. Let's end with what Sarah Longwell said. Sit with this for a second, her words. Trump is talking about taking away citizenship for naturalized citizens who, by some totally arbitrary definition, undermine domestic tranquility. So after everything that I just said, understand that everyone is at risk who decides to do anything that messes up the tranquility of the domicile. That's anything for any reason. In other words, white people, that's even you. Understand? Okay. Now, the next point.
We're going to visit this in just 1 second and talk more about this, but let's go back to what the Department of Homeland Security is posting. This has been pushed by Twitter trolls for a while.
This has been pushed by Twitter trolls for a while, the farthest of the far right, he says. Understand now that we know that the Twitter trolls, the people who are on Twitter called the Great American Greatness and American Bald Eagle Christianity and #1 American Christian white guy. These people now have been exposed to not even be from here. This has been something that's been happening for a year. The fervor with which this is being done is being assessed. They're assessing that they can do this by fake people who don't even live here. This is what has been happening on Twitter for the past 5 years. Look at that rise. The rise of this type of talk. And this is why they feel so good. But this is also the best piece of news. They don't have the numbers. They're all fake. They're desperately trying to do what's called manufacture consent, which is why they're only putting it here on Twitter. Why the DHS, the Homeland Security, when you go to their actual website, it talks about peacefully doing things and being humane. And they go here with this. So although everything I said was true and the steadiness of your resolve needs to be fine-tuned and sharpened right now because they're showing us what they want, they don't have the numbers. That's the point. That's the point for the resistance. So first, we recognize the threat. We did that. Second, we recognize the history so we can fight it. We did that. Lastly, I give you the motivation to fight, which is they don't have the numbers. And if you join now, if you gather now, if you boycott now, if you've been having food that you can save up for other people who will need it, if you've been willing to carpool so others don't have to drive, if you've been willing to police your own neighborhoods now, or if you haven't by now, now's the time to do it because they don't have the numbers. It seems big. It seems like everybody's okay with that because 60% of the people who've been pushing it and putting those numbers up don't exist. And that's why, despite Adolf's pride in their fervor, he also would see the folly in their moving this quickly because they have not manufactured proper consent. All the manufactured consent is just that plastic. It's machinery. It's fake. So I give you two solutions. One is find a group of people around you that can help protect you. Protection through numbers, policing your own communities, getting food and hoarding it and giving it out to folks for when things go down. You're going to need to do that. Real life people. And then the second thing you're going to need to do is hit us up on Political Drain at proton.me. Proton.me. Political Drain at proton.me. If you do so, we have other ways, after you get vetted, of course, to help the people in these statuses. But these numbers are manufactured. This is where it comes from. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. Come to me. I'll tell you when there's something you need to see there. I'm very serious. Unplug it. This is the manufacturing. But on the other hand, don't be afraid because it's manufactured. That's the nuance. That's it. Hit us up. We can fight this. Don't let them make you scared. Understand the history, understand the threat level. Also understand they don't have those numbers yet, and we move quickly together. Now. I'm getting a new hat. It's called Now is the Time. Tomorrow might be too late. Because right now, those numbers are low.
What's up, YouTube? Right here normally is where I put in the call to action to help us fund the resistance, helping people move in the shadows so other people can do it in the light. And this time is a little different. We have a family member, guys, that normally the money that we get from Patreon goes to help others as often and as much as we get. We do that. But very rarely do we give that to our own. And right now, one of our own is in dire need of some help. The insulin pump is gone. The insurance companies are fucking her over. And we're calling out to the people who we know, you guys, to maybe donate. Right here is a QR code that'll go directly to her. No one else will even see it. And we thank you for helping us hold up another family member as we keep fighting. We'll hold up the fight. We just ask this time, help her out. Thank you.
Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.
That That was the Political Drain podcast, which can be heard on www.groovechillradio.com/political-drain and can be viewed on the Political Drain YouTube channel anytime. Once again, thank you for listening to Groove Chill as we resist fascism in any form, pursue democracy, peace, and love.